Annual reports can be, well, pretty dry, right? Just pages of data and metrics. But what if we could peel back the layers of one and find a real human story inside? Well, that's what we're doing today. We're diving into a Green Climate Fund report about a project in Vanuatu. And trust me, it's a powerful story about resilience, innovation, and, well, fighting back against the storm. Okay, let's get into it.
So, to really get what's going on here, you have to understand the stakes. And they are incredibly high. We're not just talking about a country with some risk. We are talking about the single most at-risk nation on the entire planet for natural disasters. For the people of Vanuatu, climate change isn't some far-off problem. It is a constant, everyday reality.
And that, right there, is the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's exactly what a project, and it's a bit of a mouthful, called the Vanuatu Klaemet Infomesen Services for Resilient Development Project, or VanKIRAP, set out to answer. Their big idea? It wasn't about building bigger walls against the sea, but about building better knowledge.
At its heart, the project has this core belief that the best shield you can have against climate chaos is information. But not just any information. It has to be timely, it has to be accurate, and it has to be accessible to the people who need it most to protect their lives and their livelihoods.
This brings us to the key concept, Climate Information Services, or CIS. Now, it sounds all technical, but the idea is actually beautifully simple. It's all about translating complex weather and climate data into practical advice people can actually use. Think about it. It's a warning to a fisher that a sudden storm is brewing, or it's a long-range forecast for a farmer so she knows what to plant this season. It's knowledge as a tool.
Okay, so how do you actually do that? Well, their strategy was brilliantly straightforward. Just 3 steps. First, you gather the best data you possibly can, everything from satellites to local observations on the ground. Second, you build tools that are actually easy to use to analyze and share that data. And third, this is the most important part, you empower the people, the end users, to use those tools to make their own decisions. Gather, build, empower. Simple, but powerful.
And they didn't just spray this effort everywhere. No, they laser-focused on the 5 absolute pillars of Vanuatu society and its economy. We're talking agriculture, water, fisheries, infrastructure, and tourism. These aren't just abstract ideas. They're how people feed their families, get clean water, and build a future. For this to work, the impact had to be felt in every single one of these areas.
All right, so any project like this is going to hit some bumps in the road. That's a given. But what the team in Vanuatu faced in 2023, wow, it was on a whole other level. It was like a real-life, high-stakes stress test of their entire mission. Just look at this timeline. It is absolutely relentless. We're not talking about one major storm. We're talking about 3 severe tropical cyclones hitting the islands in just 1 year. Get this, in February, they got hit by 2 of them, back to back. Then just when they're trying to pick up the pieces, bam, Cyclone Lola hits in October. I mean, can you even imagine trying to get anything done with that level of constant crisis?
And the crazy part? The cyclones themselves were just the start of it. They created this cascade of just operational nightmares. Key staff had to be pulled away to work on the national disaster response, which, of course, they had to do. But it stopped project progress dead in its tracks. Critical paper records got damaged by floodwater. That delayed things like getting the land for a crucial new weather radar. So you see, they weren't just fighting the weather, they were fighting the chaos the weather left in its wake.
But this is what really gets me. They didn't just endure it, they learned from it. This quote from their own report shows the team being brutally honest about what happened and actively adapting their game plan. They realized that in a place like Vanuatu, contingency planning isn't some corporate buzzword, it's a fundamental survival skill.
Okay, so that was the trial by fire. A year of insane storms and constant setbacks. The big question is, after all of that, did the project actually make a difference? Let's get to the results.
Yeah, this really is the moment of truth, right? With everything the world could throw at them, were they still able to deliver on that promise to protect and empower the people of Vanuatu?
Well, the answer starts with this one number, 21,665. In that single, incredibly difficult year, the project directly reached and helped over 21,000 people. That's not an estimate, that's the actual number of direct beneficiaries. Just incredible. And this table breaks down how they did it. You can see the biggest number, over 18,000 people, were reached through broad communications and events, getting vital info out to as many people as possible.
But look closer. Nearly 600 people were trained at local community climate centers. Over 800 got training tailored to their specific jobs like farming or fishing. It just shows you this strategy worked on a massive scale, but also on a deeply personal community level.
Now this is one of my favorite parts of the whole story. It's this beautiful blend of the ancient and the cutting edge. On the one hand, they actually published a booklet to preserve and share indigenous weather forecasting knowledge. I mean, this is wisdom that's been passed down for generations. And then, on the other hand, they launched the Climate Watch mobile app, which lets people digitally record that exact same traditional knowledge. It's a perfect fusion, right? Respecting the past while using the tools of the future.
A project's real success is what it leaves behind, right? And in this case, they left behind some seriously powerful tools. Let's run through them. There's a climate futures portal for long-term projections. There's the Oscar app that gives farmers advice right on their phones. A life-saving flood early warning system was built for the Sarakata community. And I love this one. They started a citizen science program that put rain gauges in 30 schools, getting the next generation involved. Each of these isn't just a line item in a report. It's a permanent asset for the nation.
And this is so important. They made sure that this resilience was built for everyone. Women made up 43% of all the direct beneficiaries. They actually hit their target of having 40% of all training participants be women. This is absolutely vital because in sectors like farming, women are often the ones most impacted by climate change, and including them isn't just fair, it's essential for success.
All right, so we're nearing the end of the story, and there's one last crucial piece of the puzzle: sustainability. It's fantastic to build all these amazing systems, but how do you make sure they last? How do you make sure they're still working long after the project officially wraps up in 2025?
Well, the first big sign that something is built to last is when people start copying it. And that is exactly what's happening here. The successful flood management system they built for the Sarakata River is now being replicated to protect other vulnerable communities. It shows the tools aren't just effective, they're adaptable. That's a huge win.
But here's the real endgame. The ultimate exit strategy is to make these functions a permanent part of the Vanuatu government. The report shows that key jobs, like the coordinators who link the climate data to the farmers and fishers, are already being absorbed into government departments. This isn't about a temporary fix. It's about building lasting local capacity. It's about ensuring that shield of information stays strong for years and years to come.
So when we circle all the way back to that dense annual report we started with, you realize it's so much more than just numbers on a page. It's a blueprint for hope. Because in the place that is facing the absolute worst of our changing climate, hope isn't an abstract feeling. Hope is measured in a farmer who gets a successful harvest. It's measured in a family that gets a warning before a flood hits. And it's measured in this incredible fusion of ancient wisdom and modern technology. Hope is measured in 21,665 people who are now better prepared for the next storm.